Remember, it was our mothers, me not about our grandmother, it was our mothers who they experimented on with Depo-Provera because our Ministry of Health deliberately held from the people of Jamaica, the women of Jamaica, that they were being used as test subjects, as guinea pigs for this birth control Depo-Provera. And it was Jamaican women who they tried this on. So what a baby dead in childbirth or dead before it come out or born deformed or whatever, it was our mothers that they tried this on. And the government of Jamaica kept that from the women of Jamaica. I had colleagues who called for my death because I was saying the vaccine is not safe. I had colleagues who ambushed me. The masses of Jamaican people trusted the usual sources, credible sources. So when we saw some of the people who are usually credible sources, especially those who came out representing PAHO, who we know these are credible sources, they came out and then they began to tell the people how safe it was. We had politicians pretending to take it. I don't think enough of them take it. There's a lot to say about what's happening because this is a changing of the guard. It is a reset. We used to call it the New World Order. They have called it, long time, the Great Reset. It is what it is. Whatever is about to happen has already happened. The players are exactly that. Players on a stage. And they're telling us to look here, and depending on how righteous you think you are, or we think we are, in our principles and what we believe in, and we think we have free choice. We think we have free choice. So we have a country that we support, an idea, an ideology in this latest fracas that we saw in the White House, for example. And we think that is our own free choice, not understanding that we have been algorithmed. So free choice is, the media doesn't allow free choice, whether it is social media or legacy media, mainstream media, alternative mainstream media. It doesn't allow free choice. Free choice comes only from you, and even when it comes from you, it has to be an inward, innate thing. It has to be from a spiritual perspective that you understand who you are, that you're mindfulness. So any side that you find yourself coming down on in this new conflict, argument, warfare, war of words between Zelensky and Trump and Vance and Marco Rubio and the UK and Europe and Russia and all of them. Any side you find yourself coming down on, are you doing so because of what you've been told? Or because of what you know? Let me take a break. Think about that. I'll take a break and come back. Yeah, it's sounding really, really good for Joe Mercer. At 6:36, we're going to the phone lines to speak with my brother, my friend, Bert Samuels, a Pan-African attorney at law. And we're talking something very personal at this time, Bert and myself. Usually we're talking about the issues affecting us as Pan-Africans, but it's a very personal subject matter that we're going to be talking about right now. Good morning, a Pan-African attorney at law, Bert Samuels.
Greetings to you, Sister Kabu, and your great international audience.
Thank you so much, my brother. Bert, we've known each other for a while, and when we met, we had no idea that we had so many friends overlapping, and I'm talking about close friends.
Yes,
and along the way, we have found that out. And we lost a friend.
Yes,
a few days ago. I'm talking about our sister, Valerie Nita Robertson. You've known her for many years, and I want to spend some time talking a little bit about Valerie Nita Robertson for a minute.
Yeah.
Let us start with who was Valerie Nita Robertson so our listeners know who we're talking about. Robertson.
Oh, in the courtroom, she was the pit bull. She represented a new generation of Caribbean-trained attorneys, and your audience should know that before 1974, all attorneys were trained in England, and the law school was open, and she was about the third batch of lawyers to be locally trained, the third batch. She's 2 years ahead of me. I'm 45 years at the bar. She's 47. And she represented now, it was a male-dominated courtroom. Attorneys, barristers were taken to be men. And therefore Valerie broke through that. She broke through that with great ease. So she represents the first cadre of females who went in the courtroom and took it over.
Yes. She's like a program that's always running in the background for the entire lifespan of so many of us. Is that we do not know a Jamaica without Valerie Nita Robertson. So many of us, we were born into a time when once we came of age and the coming of age period, she was always there. Tell us a little bit about your meeting, Valerie, and what was the friendship that you had?
Right. So she would have come out in 1977. I came out in 79. So we would have met in 1980. Wow, that's a long time now.
It's a good time.
40 odd years.
Don't count it.
Right, and she was firstly in the chambers of Anthony Spaulding, and she learned the craft from him. Then she later went to what we call 53 Church Street, which is Ian Ramsey. So she came under the tutelage of two great, fearless attorneys.
Yes.
And that's the product you have. But she did not, like some females say, it belongs to the men. She just took it over and embraced it and learned it. And I tell you, to see her in the courtroom working. And you know the secret is? Secret is? Valerie took her cases more important than the fees. She gave her life to the defendants. And there are many persons who now were not able to pay her the fees and got excellent service. That's not a common feature of attorneys. I tell you.
And I know something about her, that she's also a very loyal friend, isn't she?
Oh, yes. So you want an example, right?
Yes.
Just about 5 years ago, I was in court and I got into a tussle with a very difficult judge. And I think I almost crossed the line when I was in the courtroom. She took me on and I took on the judge. And then the judge said, just before we broke for lunch, let me have the notes of what just transpired a while ago. When a judge does that, they're looking for the material to examine whether I committed contempt of court. And I smelled the rat. I was in the court with my daughter, and she was representing the client. And when I left the courtroom, I went straight to Valerie's office. Says, Valerie, I'm going to be in trouble. I need you. I told her what happened, and she just grabbed her gown, and we went straight over to the courtroom. Now, look at the dynamic. I come back into the courtroom with the pit bull, Valerie. And I'm sure the judge took the message that, listen, we're coming back here to fight. I brought the toughest of the toughest.
Yes.
He came to my aid without any hesitation. And that's the friendship. It explains the friendship.
Yes.
And her commitment to justice.
Yes. You are also very close. I'm going to bring another sister in who was my mentor, my very good friend. I met her when I was still a student at high school, and she mentored me and my best friend, Dawn Eaton, who's also an attorney, along the way. And Antoinette Horton. And Antoinette was also a very close friend of yours. And I know that...
My sister. Both of them are my sisters.
I know. And, I saw... Valerie and myself, we were at Anthony's funeral, right? And when she went, yeah, I'm just bringing back some memories. But anyway, so you know, they put the casket at the back of the church, and so we were walking towards it together, and then she kind of grabbed me and we walked and stood there, and at the end of it all, I mean, she took some deep breaths. She said, "Ah, child, child,
yes,
child." You come home, you come home. And she just went on from there to say so many things. And I remember calling my friend Donnie in England, you know, and I said, Dawn, because she, you know, we were talking along the way. She couldn't make it, and we were talking about, I said, as soon as it's finished, I'll give you a call. And I said, we don't have anything to worry about, because whether there was a service yes or no, Valerie did what she needed to do in the way that Antoinette would have wanted it, right there. At the back of the church. And, you know, and this is what I meant when I talk about, in the same way she grabbed her robe and was with you in the court, that she was there literally performing this kind of a ritual, if you will, there in the church. And I'm sure, and it was spontaneous. She didn't even know that all of that would have come out. And then she, you know, told me about the years of standing by her friend. This is the kind of person that she was. But there were also great disagreements.
Yes, I know them.
Yes. But the difference between me and you, and I'm not a lawyer, I just play one on radio. She convinced me, but she didn't convince you. And that is about the CCJ. Let us start there, because she had very, very strong views about the CCJ. As a matter of fact, she was scheduled to be on this program this month, literally, to just she was going to do a series of programs because she had something to say, and I was giving her the space to say it. Where did you disagree with Valerie on the CCJ, Bert, and why?
Valerie, forgive me, Valerie, but I'm going to try. She's not here to defend herself.
No, I want to remember, we know so she understands, because the last time I interviewed her, she said, I know a lot of people do not agree with me, and then she went on. So she's very open about it. I saw that. Yes.
Well, after a case was heard, she said, long live the Privy Council. And it, as a Pan-Africanist, that didn't go down well with me, because the position I come from is that we, as a post-slavery society, have been indoctrinated to think that there's a white savior and there's a white savior as the court. And a lot of people feel that we can only get justice from the Queen, and we can only get justice if Caucasian lawyers argue and Caucasian judges give judgment. So I thought that from that point of view, that we were instilling and continuing in the minds of people that justice cannot come from the black skin. And that's a bit difficult.
But, you know, I asked her that in the last interview that we had, and I'm sure so many listeners are remembering the interview. I asked her about that, and she said, it is not that she's against the CCJ. She says there's something that has to be done in the Caribbean and in Jamaica in particular regarding corruption, and that she would want to see that attended to before we talk about wholesalely adopting the CCJ. This is where I think this is our point of contention, is that she was 100% with the CCJ, but not until the corruption within the judicial system was cleared up. Does that make any difference to you?
Yeah, well, you see, each lawyer's experience is different. Corruption is not something that I have been able to say, yes, it's a problem for the Jamaican judges. Honestly, I cannot safely say that. We've had one judge who was caught, and she was a parish court judge, who was sent to prison for corruption in a case that she was doing. And there's no system that is perfect. But I don't think that I could honestly say that when I go to court, I think that this judge or that judge or even the majority of judges are corrupt. So we differed on that. But
you know, because I interviewed her, Bert, and I know you're very good friends, and I know you've had conversations about this, but because I asked her these very same questions on air, she made a point of saying it wasn't about the judges, it was about the systemic corruption that goes beyond. In other words, it's what the judges had to work with, but that the corruption was systemic.
Yeah, and I often said to her, and these are the conversations, I said, Val, remember that as a cricketing country, the West Indies was no good when they just started to play against England. Mm-hmm. And then we became much better than them. Mm-hmm. And I felt that the collective wisdom of the Caribbean lawyers would make a good regional court, because we have regional cricket, mm-hmm. and we studied together. Mm-hmm. We have the University of the West Indies, and my classmate, of blessed memory, was a judge in the CCJ. So, it came close to me. The CCJ is very close to me because my classmate was one of the judges. Mm-hmm. And I know him, and I know that he wanted to make a difference. So mm-hmm. each person's experience is different. It's just that we are all children of the 70s. We saw Black Power. We saw all of this. And it's difficult to put me on the side of the Privy Council, mm-hmm. which, after a certain case, for example, the cartel case, there was now some big talk, only white people could give cartel justice. And that hurts. Mm-hmm. It hurts because I argued the case. Mm-hmm. And I would have preferred to argue before the CCJ rather than to go to England to call these Caucasian.
In Valerie's name, let me ask you a question, because this question I probably have posed to her during this month, but at the time I interviewed her, there was no need to pose it because I didn't even foresee it, and so it's a lack of vision on my part. But because now we're hearing the contentious issues around that, and the position that the opposition has taken regarding tying the CCJ to the abolishing the monarchy as head of state in Jamaica, because that seems to be a contentious point. If there is no resolution on the CCJ, and would that impact your own personal thinking on whether or not we move forward with ditching the monarchy as head of state of Jamaica?
Yeah, to me it's crazy and almost dysfunctional for you to separate the monarchy, put them on the side of the courts, but remove them from elsewhere. Because if you look at Section 110 of the Constitution, it says there shall be appeals to His Majesty. So what we have is a constitution which says that we must go to a king whose bloodline enslaved us. Now, as a Pan-Africanist, I couldn't compromise that. I mean, Kabu, you know I'm not going to compromise.
I know you're not, and you make me sound like me a compromise, but you see, but I...
Whose bloodline... King Charles. Charles, about 300 years ago, was making money.
But remember the question I asked, Bert, is that...
Let me hear it.
So this is a point of contention, and we appear to be at a stalemate regardless of everything else that is moving forward. So that if this becomes the sticking issue, would you, in your own thinking, is there no way that you would see the merit of moving then with phase one, which is getting rid of the monarchy, and then in phase two, the CCJ?
Well, you see, if you get rid of the monarchy, you have to get rid of the King Charles's court. You can't take it in part.
But I'm going to answer my question.
I'm not for the part one. I'm not in the part
for phase one, phase two. Okay.
No, I'm into one phase to remove those whose bloodlines are criminals. They participated in the transport of our people, and that's horrible for me. I can't. When we were under the Guango 300 years ago, and slavery was another 100 years to go, a lot of us were saying, we can't, how we going to find our own food? I don't think we can manage for our own. Master, good too, we can't do without him. That was a mental state that we must come out of that.
And a lot of us were saying, burn it down. I make a bill out of the ashes.
And when we say burn it down, some in farm amongst you go tell them and then kill we.
Yes, I know. Remember Chief Tetchy, and Davis Bullet.
But the St. Mary blood don't bow.
No, we don't bow, no. But here's the thing, though. But we disagree on this one thing, because I am so insistent that we might miss the moment of ditching the monarchy as head of state. And I understand the point you're making, which is ditching the monarchy means ditching the monarchy, which include the Privy Council.
Yeah.
And I don't want to believe politicians because I don't normally believe politicians. But my thinking is that we are at, as Biden said, an inflection. And forgive me for quoting Joe Biden because he's not even alive. But we are at an inflection point. And I think it is critical for us to do this now. In other words, I'm thinking if we miss this, when do we get back to this place? And then hold them responsible, whoever comes in responsible for that phase 2. This is my thinking on it.
As a lawyer, what is going to happen? We remove the monarchy in part, and the next morning I go to court, and the court is opened with "God Save the King." That's "God Save the King" is going to be recited in the courts, although we have removed the monarchy. That's a contradiction in terms.
Are you serious? This is how it would work? Is "God Save the King" connected to the Privy Council or to the...
It saves him because he's the head of the judiciary. That's why we go into the courtroom at the moment.
Okay, as the head of the judiciary. So that you're...
head of the judiciary.
Yeah, right. So.
We don't say "God save the people." So we're going to have... the monarchy is now removed, which is not really removed. And we go to court the next morning where we get rid of... We think we get rid of the monarchy. And I'm going to hear "God Save the King" in the courtroom. No, I'm going to throw up. I'm not going to be able to survive.
But the alternative to that is "God Save the King" until we don't know when else. Considering that this issue, and you've been, and let me just let our listeners say, because we're having this discussion in Valerie's name. Let our listeners know that this is something that you've been at for ages. As a matter of fact, when Valerie wrote the article in the newspaper about this very issue that we're talking about in terms of the CCG and the Privy Council, you responded, didn't you?
I did.
Yes, in the paper too.
War between friends.
And you remain friends.
Yeah, most certainly. My sister, who is a lawyer, says, "But Bert, you know Valerie is your girlfriend, right?" When I tell her that there's a war between us, she says, Valerie is your girlfriend, right?
I know. This is really
there were times when judges took on Valerie and threatened to lock her up, and she didn't back off. She just didn't back off. Yeah. You know, she was abused once, physically abused, which I don't want to say by whom. And she called me, went straight to her house and represented her in court. After that, you know, she suffered a fracture out of that. I don't want to really give the details of that. But she's been through a lot. I'm only bringing that up to say in her personal life, she's been through a whole lot. Her husband, who was my friend, was murdered right at their gate. Yes, her first husband was murdered at her gate. And, you know, her 4 sons, beautiful boys, you know, went through the tragedy of that. The first 2 sons belonged to him. So Valeria's been through a lot, losing her own husband to criminals. And that did deter her from representing the persons who she thought was innocent. You know, a police officer fanned me down on Friday morning. I said, "Oh, I'm going to get a ticket." And he says, "What a great woman." I thought I was going to get a ticket. I didn't recognize it.
Valerie, you saw that, Valerie. Did you see that?
She represented so many of us as police officers. We could call on her Mr. Samuel. So it was across the board. It was the ghetto youth. It was police officers who are charged for offenses. It was uptown. It was downtown. But it was always driven by justice. Valerie, you need to collect your fees.
Yes.
She's just going on and on and on. She gave her life to the courtroom for justice.
I know also, Bert, having spoken to her, because we were talking for many, you know, for a good while about how I would facilitate the space for her to come and make the case and to talk about corruption within the system. I think that on the back of that, because she was so concerned that there has to be some response, I think, from the judiciary to say what was it she was talking about, and you know, how can we audit ourselves then, even if we have to audit ourselves, but run an audit through the system, because she said it's systemic and this was her main concern. And I'm telling you, she was, she was really, really concerned about it.
Oh yes, she was prepared to take it on. She didn't mince words, you know. A lot of us got nervous when Valerie got upset in court. We say, "Oh my God, when is she going to be locked up?" Because she just didn't think that she should be bridled.
Yes. Well, to her family, to her children, to her extended family, to the legal community, to all of her friends, our deepest condolences to you once again.
Totally. And one thing before you go
Yes.
is that Valerie mentored no less than 100 young lawyers. She had a sea of young lawyers coming into her chambers, and she would never turn back one of them. So she shared the knowledge. So it was a life that was worth it.
Yes. And we'll never forget her. We'll continue to speak in her name because we think we can, and also to carry on the activism about corruption in Jamaica generally and in the judiciary. So thank you so much, my brother, my friend, Pan-African attorney Bert Samuels. It's about time you're coming to the studio now. It's a long time I haven't seen you face to face. So
because it is
stop
near
it already.
the border of the area, and so come.
All right.
I listen to all the people in Coronation Market where I go every Thursday.
Yes.
They're so in love with you. They think that you're my sister by blood. I said, yes, it is.
The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Yes.
So it is what it is. Thank you. Welcome to the studio, my very good friend and brother, David Wilson. Good morning, David. Greetings. Who has just walked in, and just in time for this session. He is the managing director of the Rio Nuevo Museum and Great House, and CEO of the Rio Nuevo Village. And on the phone lines, joining me, welcoming back, because she was in, I think, the first week in February, Dr. Leslie Gale Atkinson Swaby, lecturer, archaeologist in the Department of History and Archaeology at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. And we'll tell you more about her as we go along. Leslie hardly need any introduction, though, and so too David. But thank you so much, Dr. Leslie Gale Atkinson Swaby, for coming back.
Good morning, Kabu. How are you?
I am well. If you two are well, Leslie. 3 minutes.
I'm a little groggy. I'm sorry. It's a bit early for me.
Well, that makes two of us, so we're good. I was thinking to myself coming in that instead of the fever grass tea, we should have probably carry something stronger. Anyway, here we are. So also in studio with us, David, as I said before, David Wilson, who is the managing director of the Rio Nuevo Village. He is the CEO. He's also the managing director of Rio Nuevo Museum and Great House. My brother, my friend. Morning, David. How you do?
Good morning. I'm fine.
A little bit groggy.
a little groggy.
Yes, Leslie, it's all of us now.
Yes.
So, but we're ready for the task. And so we're going to be talking about a few things, because when we had Leslie on before, we had to cut the interview short because of the Reggae Month church service. And we did say that we'd carry her back so that we can have a wider discussion on the issues that were raised in the space. As you heard, she's an archaeologist, and we were looking at, to quote the title of the book that she edited, The Earliest Inhabitants of Jamaica, the First Peoples. And boy, every time we hear about the First Peoples, because sometimes we tend to forget, it looked like, it is just phenomenal that there's so much information. It looks like it's not a lot, but it's a lot of information. But we don't hear that in the mix of things in terms of the indigenous people, the First Peoples. So we want to start there to refresh our memories, Leslie, and then to widen the conversation this morning now to look at the issue. What you raised last time was you talked to us about the different archaeological sites across Jamaica. And this morning we're going to start by focusing on Rio Nuevo, which was one of the places that you identified. And then throughout the month and going further, we'll be looking at the different sites. All right. Refresh our memories, Dr. Leslie, of who were the earliest inhabitants as far as archaeology in Jamaica has shown so far?
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. Well, the last time I had highlighted that the region was colonized as early as between 6,000 to 8,000 years ago from populations coming out of Central America. They believe coming from the Yucatan. And then we had another wave of people settling the region from about 2000 BCE from South America, the Amazon region, into the Lesser Antilles and the Greater Antilles. Jamaica was not colonized at that time, neither was the Bahamian archipelago, but you had places like Cuba, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico having that level of antiquity in terms of peoples associated with those islands. Jamaica is one of the last areas in the region to be colonized. The dates that we have in terms of when people were here is associated with the 7th century, about 650 AD or CE, depending on your preference. And that was around the same time we see the islands like the Bahamian archipelago and the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, also being occupied. And that was by a group of people known as the Ostinoids. And I was saying that the
Ostinoids, and just to back up a bit before you go on, just to spell it for us again, Ostinoids, the first that we've found so far in terms of the word.
OSPIONOID.
Ostinoid.
Sorry, no, OSPIONOID. Ostinoid.
Ostinoid.
Right, right. There was a famous American archaeologist, Irving Rose, and it is his framework of the peopling of the region that has been used for decades. I mean, there are challenges to it now, but it is still the foundation. So if you want to get an understanding about all the pre-European cultures that existed in the region, a good place to start is Irving Rose. And he has a book that The People Who Greeted Columbus, published in 1992. And in all the other scholarship since then has either been a reinforcement or a reaction from Rose. So the first people in Jamaica, we call them the redware people because of their distinct bright red pottery, which is believed to have been made from either Terra Rosa soil or bauxite soil in terms of as their clay source. So it's very refined, thin, beautiful, and they use normally like animal imagery, things like representations of turtles, other animals with flippers and so forth. And they settled primarily along the coast, the highest concentrations in places like Manchester and in St. Elizabeth. There's a few sites in Westmoreland, some in St. Anne, and one or two maybe in Trelawney. But really, in Manchester and Clarendon and St. Anne are where they settled. Initially, we believed, or it was believed, that the Ostinoids were peoples from Puerto Rico that settled Jamaica. But now, current scholarship is pushing back against that because we find that the dates in Jamaica are around the same time as Puerto Rico or even earlier. So it can't be the population that they saw from Puerto Rico. So there's still a lot of mystery in terms of who were the initial settlers of the island. There's a lot of mystery in archaeology. I mean, being an archaeologist is just really being somebody who just loves mysteries because, we are really just dependent on the clues, meaning the archaeological resources, the artifacts, which are the things that have been made, modified, and used by us humans, that date at least 100 years I mean, they can bring it up to more recently, 50 years ago, but ideally, the lower limit should be at least 100 years old and further into antiquity. And in the human story, that goes back as far as 3.3 million years ago. Eco-facts, which are like environmental resources, things that humans use, they did not necessarily manipulated or exploited. So things like animal remains, things like plant remains, and so forth. It includes also features like rock art, things that are not portable that were also utilized and modified by humans. And of course, structures and then sites. And then, of course, the landscapes, because a lot of people just focus on sites, but you have to think about how the sites interact with the environment and also with relation to other sites. So we do know that the Ostenoid were on the island for about a good 200-300 years, which is not really a long time in archaeology. In archaeology, 300 years represents a phase. It's really just a small blip in time. I know to us humans, it seems like a long time.
No, it really doesn't. Well, maybe for us in the street, it really doesn't. And the point is, do we know why for such a short period? Because obviously,
well, there was another population movement in terms of migration to the island, coming from Hispaniola, really from Haiti, what we know regard as Haiti, and these are the Meleacs or the Melecoid, and it is spelled MEILLACOIOD, right? Sorry. OID. My brain is a little fuzzy. Right, and they ended up being the culture that we associate with the White Mile site. So in archaeology, the first place or site that you find a particular culture or assemblage, meaning archaeological resources, whether they're artifacts, whether they're ecofacts or features that you believe represent a particular culture, is referred to as a type site. So for the Ostenoid, the type site is or was a little river. It's largely been destroyed. I mean, most of the archaeological and especially the pre-European sites from Ocherios. Well, it goes even further from sections of St. Mary straight across to Montego Bay have been largely destroyed because of tourism-related activities.
Wow.
So one of the biggest threats in archaeology in Jamaica is really development. And I just want to say we're not against development. Development is a reality. But at the same time, we can have sustainable development that we don't destroy.
Of course, because listen,
destroy our archaeology.
Just last week and a half, we're getting another find coming up near from the Valley of the Queens in Egypt, and it's a massive find because it's a burial pyramid or tomb of Tutmosis II, and they've been looking for it. But there's so much development happening in Egypt, but all these sites are preserved, and the archaeology continues. So it is possible, if we really want to, I think, to look at the example of Egypt and to say, how do we develop tourism and everything else around the archaeology, the history, and to preserve these for even a greater level or another kind of tourism, if you will.
Well, we don't have to go as far as Egypt. We can. There are good best practices already operating in the region in places like Belize. Places like Belize and Mexico, could be standard in terms, because they have greater appreciation for their cultural heritage than we do in Jamaica, and that is unfortunately a fact.
Yeah.
Right, and then we have the Mayakoids, and their type site is White Mile, which is the largest known pre-European site that we have on the island. It spanned over 30 acres. It's lasted for centuries, from about 900 AD or CE up to contact and possibly after. The problem with white males, where we don't really know much about the contact period, is because in the 50s and 60s, when you had avocational archaeologists working on the site, it is mentioned that contact material, in terms of Spanish-related material, was encountered, but it wasn't of interest to those who were working on the site. So a number of those were discarded, and that is one of the challenges when you have people who are not professional archaeologists. Regardless of whether it's your interest or not, you must document and record and
All right.
invent out everything.
All right, hold.
So,
yeah, go on.
sorry.
Finish that sentence, because I have to take a break. But just finish what you were saying. The thought.
right. So we don't have much information of that contact period, but we do know there's evidence of contact. That there was evidence of contact as white males. So it still remains a very important site, and only a quarter of it exists now.
All right, let me take a quick break and come back. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Bert. We talk soon. All right, so we're talking about the earliest inhabitants, and we're just using Dr. Leslie Gale Atkinson's Swaby's, the title of the book she edited. But we're really looking at, as far as we can tell through archaeology, the earliest peoples who inhabited Jamaica, the indigenous peoples, and she's really doing a brilliant job of walking us through it. David, every time we hear this, because we've heard it from Leslie before and we've read the book, it's always very fascinating, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes.
And you have somebody, I know when I met you many years ago, you were, this was something that you were intimately concerned with. You were like tapped into the energy of the indigenous peoples.
Yes.
Why?
And I'm still fascinated with the earlier people, and what Dr. Leslie shared some things earlier, and I was listening, and I think our struggles in terms of understanding the early people or the early times is we're stuck in today. We're stuck in our time, our period, and in order to understand the early time, you have to actually become it. As she explained about the different influences or the different cultures that they're now recognizing that existed here in Jamaica. In the early times, if you look at let's look at it like this. If you look at the world map and reflect on that period, say 650 AD, you'll see that in terms of the world, things were a lot closer, and access to things were easier. Where we would use vehicles, people would walk from one state to another state, because things things were a lot closer then, so access was easier, and so it's not profound for her to say that these people existed here because the earth was a lot closer.
Yeah.
So
and when you think about the
would be natural.
migration and just hearing that the Mayans or the Mycoids, that they came from Hispaniola, which we know today as IT,
Yes.
and that, and we see. But Dr. Leslie, it makes a lot of sense what David is saying, because that very as much as he's saying then, we see that very same movement between IT and Jamaica today.
Well, people have a very complicated relationship with the sea or the ocean, and I think for people from landlocked countries, they see the sea as a means of dividing, But as an islander, the sea is a connection. So I think there were a lot more movement from different parts of the American mainland and within the islands in the region than we probably experience now. And there's also evidence of kinship. Not that there aren't evidence of kinship, no, but I'm just saying that we don't really focus on it as much as they probably would have.
This whole idea of securing the border wasn't such a big deal. And now we're talking about migration and immigration, and we're building a wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it and all of that. So this is the times we're living in now. So that contact between, I should have let you finish your point, David. Sorry, because I interrupted. The point you were making.
Yeah, I was just, I think it's essential that, like I said earlier, that we look at how the world was and how the earth was in terms of access or location. If you all you have to do is look at a map from that period and a map today, and you'll see exactly what I'm saying.
And this is you're saying this is geographic. This is literally physical shift. That shift that we're seeing.
Exactly. Yes.
And it makes a lot of sense, because that is historically what happens, don't it? So we can understand that. And we haven't, the thinking and the thought to go into understanding the interaction, I think is also critical to just getting the information, because some of it gets lost in translation. So understanding how this happened, when we say, so far as archaeology is showing, the Osteonoids were first, and then the Mycons, I don't know why. It's because I read your book, why I can't get Mycons out of my mind, Leslie. But that they...
Oh, that is a Rose category.
Yeah.
So Rose had them all under one series, Osteonoid, and then you had the Estonian, the Mayacons, Elayan, Chican.
And
but
then
the contemporary Chican, that's Puerto Rico and the DR. And then you had, and then the current scholarship now doesn't see them as sub-series, but actually as cultures themselves.
So it is.
So what was the Estonian is now Osteonoid, and what was the Mayacan is now Mayacoid.
Mayacoids. Let's get that right. Yeah. And Chiacoids. And so it was. Let me look at the contact, because we're going to do this over a period of time, and so the contact with the Osteonoids who were first, and then with the others coming in as far as the archaeology is concerned, and then with the others coming in, what happened at contact? Because you said the Osteonoids were 200 to 300 years, or 100 to 200 years, I think it was, and
200
then
to 300.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what happened at contact?
Well, that's another mystery. What happened? I mean, so individuals like Rose proposed that the earlier group, the Red War people, were either exterminated or displaced by the incoming white Mal people, because the incoming white Mal people eventually dominated the island. They were not just coastal, but they penetrated the interior valleys, the limestone hills and plateaus, and we even have evidence of white Mal type material culture reaching as far as into Nanny Town.
And is that the Mayacoid?
Yes, the Mayacoid. Yes.
Right.
And they, of course, lasted much longer than the earlier group. However, I don't really believe that. I don't believe in that you can just totally eliminate a culture like that. Well, once there's contact, there is going to be some sort of residue or some sort of cultural or biological interaction.
Yes.
So, I mean, my personal, that was actually one of the things I was exploring in my own PhD, was because later on in Jamaica, about 11th, 12th century, we have a unique culture developing in Jamaica, which they refer to as a variant of White Mal, which is Montego-Bay style or Fairfield complex. And, its pottery style is very, very similar to White Mal. But for me, I noticed there's more to a culture than just artistic expression. There's, there's language, there's tradition in terms of especially food and settlement patterns. So for me, I think that the pottery style is similar to the White Mal group, which demonstrates the connection, but their settlements and subsistence patterns were more in keeping with the early Osteonoid group. So for me, it is possible that, the interaction between the Osteonoid and the Mayacan resulted in this unique culture associated with, Central and Western Jamaica. But that is my theory. The standard is that, they died out by 900, which I again don't agree with.
No, we're
that you can have
working with
such a hard limit.
we're working with your theory. All right. So and then we get to the next people who
All right.
were the
Okay, so it is believed that the ostenoid and the mayacoid evolved through possible interaction into the culture that we know as Taino. So a lot of people, which is a problem I have with the what is taught in the schools, so like a site like White Mile, they keep labeling it as a Taino site. White Mile is not a Taino site. White Mile is a mayacoid site, right? The material culture is demonstrative of the mayacoid period in Jamaica, but they just say, oh, it's Taino. No. Taino is a pre-contact and a contact culture. It evolved maybe as early as the 10th, 11th century in some areas, but the starting point is usually associated with 1200 BE or AD. Right, and it is certain. There are certain types of material culture that's associated with Taino, such as the production of those beautiful wooden artifacts like the dohos, such things like the wooden semis that the region is popular for, like the Carpenter's Mountain semis that were taken from Jamaica, and the Abaco semis that were found. Well, I wouldn't say found because they were found much earlier, but became a part of the cultural repositories in the 1990s, the ceremonial staff, the Asian semi, the ceremonial spoon, and so forth. Those and the ball fields like Kawana that we see in Puerto Rico, that is Taino, right? And so you can't just have a blanket declaration that everything before the arrival of the Spanish is Taino, because, all these different groups are contributing their cultures and traditions and biological legacies into the creation of these successive groups. Just like, yes, we say we are Caribbean, or I don't like the term West Indian, but I'll take Caribbean. But we're all individual islands with individual cultures. Yes, there's commonalities. We have shared paths, whether good or bad, but each of us are unique. And I think that diversity should be respected. And that was something that we had a problem with in the past, where they tended to lump and not respect diversity and regional expression. Yeah,
there's some kind of deliberateness in that, or laziness at the very worst. But so it's good that that is, I hope through your scholarship that is being corrected. We see that in a book, for example, The Earliest Inhabitants, The Dynamics of the Jamaican Taino, which is edited by you. There's so much there, so our listeners can grab that. And for those students who are doing History CXC exams coming up in just a few days' time or just a few weeks' time, parents grab them, because this is good for them also. So let us talk about where the Taino sites are. I know that we want to focus this morning and then, for a few weeks on Rio Nuevo itself. So, but across Jamaica, where are the sites?
Well, you have hundreds of sites. And I wouldn't necessarily just Taino, because we haven't made that much of an effort in terms of distinguishing, but parishes like Clarendon, St. Anne, and St. Catherine are where you find the dominance in terms of amount of sites across Jamaica. It's really incredible, how many sites are found there. But the fact that we know of these sites may be results of expansion of our road networks. The thoroughfare between St. Anne and St. Catherine, the amount of sites that we have been able to identify, a large part has to do with, like the creation of the toll and so forth. So currently we have hundreds of sites. In terms of my personal research, I know we have at least 600 sites. And I don't know, I mean, in what the JNHD has, because, that is not something that's accessible like that. I mean, so they probably have an idea. St. Mary's is also well populated. We have almost 40 sites in St. Mary alone. And Rio Nuevo is, of course, one of the more important sites in St. Mary. I would not view Rio Nuevo as a Taino site, though, but it is definitely a Mayakoy site. I know it was discovered in the 1960s by an archaeologist named Chusong. He was doing research in Jamaica at that time. He's an overseas, he died some years ago, but he's not Jamaican. It is what we call a midden. Now, in archaeology, there are different ways of categorizing sites. So when a site is open air, and it is the remains that they believe of some sort of domestic settlement or village, it is normally styled as a midden. So it is essentially basically an area where they discard or abandon things. So it is kind of like the garbage dump or the riverton of the site. So that's what a midden is. You can also have burials, and burials can either be, open, or they can be found within a cave. You have other sites, such as like rock art sites, where you may find carvings, petroglyphs, pictographs, paintings. And you may have areas that are viewed as safe repositories, which are caves that the indigenous people deliberately hid, like their dohos and their semis, in hopefully to prevent the Spanish from destroying them. So in the region, over 100 wooden artifacts have been found, thankfully, because they hid them in caves, and in Jamaica, that is no different. So based on archaeology, Rio Nuevo would be categorized as a midden and a burial site. And it dates to at least the 11th century, possibly being occupied for about 2 centuries. So it dates between either the 11th and the 13th. There are not really a lot of radiocarbon dates. There's only one so far. But it has been an area of interest from 1965 up until the early 2000s, and there's not really been much work.
And that's the point I was going to get to. So how much work has been done there?
Not much. I mean, there have been some excavations there. The site has definitely been mapped and stuff, and the fact that it has a radiocarbon date is because it had been excavated, and they were able to obtain some charcoal samples which produced viable dates. It is believed that it spanned about 3.5 acres, and at least 3 burials have been found. 2 adults and an infant burial, so that's pretty interesting. So we do have human remains associated there. There's quite a number of, of course,
where in Rio Nuevo was this?
Okay, so it is a site. The site is across from where we have the current...
The battle site?
Battle site, yes. So it's across the river from there. And I also found that interesting because one of the things I have realized is that the Spanish settled in proximity to the indigenous sites, whether it is for exploitation of food resources or, for labor or whatever. But they settled in proximity. So, I mean, you see this also at Maima, which is which New Seville or the Seville Heritage Park incorporates. And you have a number of indigenous sites there. And then you have the Spanish, and then you have the British settling also, if not on top of the Spanish, but in proximity too. So, even when you think about our how we set up our communities now, I mean, we a lot of us don't realize that we're probably settling in areas that had Taino occupation, because, fresh water is, we need water. Water is the most important thing for life, fresh water. So they always settle within proximity, within a mile of or 1.6 kilometers of fresh water. And of course, the Spanish, settled where they could access food because they were dependent on indigenous people for food.
Very interesting.
Yes, especially characters like Columbus. And when he overstayed in 1503 or 1504. Mm-hmm. But going back to Rio Nuevo, it was one of the earlier sites that were excavated, and it was excavated at a site in proximity to what was believed to be a Spanish stockade or fortification. Mm-hmm. And this was prior to the battle, the 1658 battle. So they had stone tools, things like nets, stinkers, which helped them in their fishing. Mm-hmm. They had animal resources, so they've identified hutia, the Jamaican rice rat, which unfortunately, like our monkey, is extinct. Mm-hmm. Species of birds, sea turtles, sharks. So you can see that and other bony fishes. So they exploited a range of resources from terrestrial to, of course, to the marine environment and also freshwater environment.
Let me just say this to David, because David, all right, so at fascinating information on just that area, Rio Nuevo. I want to talk a little bit. I know we're talking archaeology, but I have to talk about the spirit connection though, because you acquired land and property in that area. Was there what pulled you to that? What pulled you to that entire? That's how many acres we're looking at there.
Okay, you're saying what led me?
Yeah,
to the property. It was a period where I was transitioning from overseas to Jamaica. But when I viewed that property, it was something special, and I knew that I had to acquire it. It's been a journey. It's been a journey acquiring it. I have learned so much about our history from that mass of land. I have such respect for it and what it has taught me. There's so much more to learn. I just want to commend Dr. Leslie for her work there. And, the Heritage Group, when she was a part of Heritage Trust, they educated me so much, and which led me to having such appreciation of our history, our early history. There's so much more to learn there. I think we have just scratched the surface. Dr. Leslie said some things which I really need to have a discussion with her off air about some new discoveries, and so we'll leave that for off air discussion. And she has enlightened me so much more now about where we are, where we're coming from. It's profound. This is awesome.
I don't know if at any time I wasn't listening, because Leslie has been in the studio, both of you before, and I've had many conversations with you, but I don't know how this went over my head. I always said it was a Taino site, and I heard you just now, Leslie, saying it's even before that. We're looking at the Macoids.
Yes. Yes, it's definitely before. It's definitely before. It's a much earlier site than what people assume.
All right, and that's why we need to have an off-year
okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. No, because that's pretty interesting. So, all right, let me take a quick break and come back. A quick break, sorry.
Safe, reliable, great value. Always buy from an authorized IGL dealer. The time by IGL is...
Now, 7:46 this hour, between 7 and 8, is brought to you courtesy of Irons Mechanical, White River, Ocho-Rios, specializing in general servicing, diagnostic checks, transmission flush, and injector cleaning. Call 876-919-6107 or 876-423-5154. That's 876-919-6107. or 876-423-5154. All right. So Leslie, you're hearing from both of us that this is fascinating, right? The information that is that you're sharing in the space this morning. I know I have to let you go in a few minutes, and so let me do that. But just to let our listeners know that you're going to be in the studio Sunday, March 9, right?
That's next week.
Is it 9?
Yeah.
Yes, and we'll open the phone lines. David will also be back with us on Sunday, March 9. This is fascinating history. It is our history, and this is why I'm committed to just spending some time looking at the indigenous peoples, looking at the earliest inhabitants, and to connect. Because there's this disconnect, isn't it, Dr. Leslie? It's my heartbreak. It's really heartbreaking. This disconnect is to the indigenous Americans and also even our African heritage. It's just it floors me sometimes. Let me ask you this as we talk about connecting. The Macoids, right? You said earlier that so they came in, and when they came in, they saw the Osteonoids, but and so that contact produced. It would seem to me you're saying the Tainos. So would there be an overlap of Macoids and Osteonoids and Tainos, say in the say a site like Rio Nuevo, for example?
I mean, it is possible that they coexisted, and that is something I am open to. But right now, we really need to take a different perspective of the data that we have. People have not really spent a lot of time even thinking about these type of relationships. The truth is also we need more archaeologists. So I'm plugging here, Jamaican, Caribbean archaeologists.
Yes.
Really, those of you who are parents, part of the reason why children choose the professions they do is because of the pressures that their families put on them.
Sure.
It's okay for your child to be a historian. It is okay for your child to be a journalist. It is okay for your child to be an archaeologist.
Yes.
They can have a good life.
Yes.
Everybody don't have to be doctor. Everybody don't have to be engineer. Everybody don't have to be lawyer. We need diversity, and we need the art. We need the humanities. We are human.
Yes.
It's the whole attitude for everything to be STEM is ridiculous. We need the art. So I beg you, please be open. Because if you're not open, then your children won't be open. And these are areas that are dying. I mean, Jamaica doesn't even have 15 archaeologists, and we're the largest in the English-speaking Caribbean.
I don't mean to throw any cold water on the thing, but I think they probably have less pathologists and just a little bit more cardiologists. So we're having a serious problem right across the board.
We have lots of problems, and then of course it doesn't help that people are, going abroad, and we have the brain drain, which is a reality. But in terms of even things like conservation, one of the things David with his museum, museums' roles are for, of course, public education, yes, and also for research, but also to protect and to conserve. And we don't even have 5. I mean, on the island.
So the pieces, for example, that have been found on Rio Nuevo itself, because I remember being there for one of the small digs, David, when we broadcast live through the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, and that, there's some artifacts found. Those were from what period?
Well, those look like they're from what I remember, and I can only speak from what I remember being there. That is Macoid.
Okay.
Those are Macoid.
David, you didn't tell me they were so old, David. I'm going to come up there today. I'm going to have to go back today. Because I'm fascinated by this, honestly. We were just saying Taino. Was it me alone that was saying? Well, let me turn on David back. I'm so sorry, David.
But that is a part of what the, how the public education has been, and that is something that I am. That I am personally, again, I'm kind of tired of people just labeling people and they're not
Yes.
showing the respect or care to make an effort. So in Jamaica, the habit is that once it's pre-European,
Yes.
it is automatically assumed that it's Taino and not realize that these are distinct cultures. It's disrespectful,
I
to
can't-
say the least.
I can't believe that I can't get past that I was part of something so great. You know, Leslie, this is where my head is at.
You're
that
always part of something great. I don't understand.
I know, but that is giving me goosebumps. I can't believe
Well,
that was...
you see, the restriction has been lifted from Dr. Leslie, so she can be more expressive now. Yeah. Did I hit a note?
You did. Leslie, did he hit a note?
It's not up to me. It's not up to me alone. But
Tenor or bass?
I have my own agenda and
Okay.
my own desires while I'm here in the living realm. So don't worry about that.
All right. Well, as coming from the ancestral line or a lineage of these indigenous people, I know that this work is beyond what a lot of us are listening. A lot of our listeners can comprehend. I think for all three of us, we are. It's a different mission. So I want to thank you, Dr. Leslie, and I look forward to having you in the studio Sunday, where we can lay out some more the Tainos and I want to go back to the Mercoids because of, I mean, me not live far from here, I think I live on the same land, and so just to have this conversation, I think it's gonna. It is that important. And one of the things I noticed when you were here last time is so many calls came in about continuing this discussion that we really couldn't hold off without having you back. So I look forward to you being in studio along with David Sunday. And maybe David can carry some pieces. Yes.
I just wanted to say I'm hoping that on Sunday we can touch on Taino and cultural return in terms of reparations, because we do have a number of resources associated with our indigenous ancestors that are existing in overseas repositories.
Okay.
And we need to, people need to be conscious about that.
All right.
Things that we will never be able to see unless we
exactly.
go
I made
to places like the British Museum.
I
Okay.
know. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Leslie.
All right.
Gail Atkins.
Seneca Kakona, abundant blessings.
Yes, you see, don't go on this now, David. I mean, you just said, no, if you answer. Hello, Leslie. How should we answer?
Seneca Kakona.
Say it slowly.
Seneca
Senico.
Kakona.
Senico. Senico.
Kakona.
Kakona. Senico Kakona. Yes, it sounds good, power tongue. Thank you so much, my sister. We love it. Thank you so much, Leslie. All right.
Blessings. Bye.
David, this is fascinating.
Yes.
I mean, what a journey. Yeah, I'm really happy to be on this journey because the discovery. All right, so I want you to tell us a little bit more now about the Renova, and especially the work that has been done on your property, because it's a wider property, of course, and Renova Village itself. As I said before, do you remember what year it was when you did that excavation with the Jamaican National Heritage Trust and IRFM, I might add?
Probably around 12 years, 12
it's
over 10
long?
years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's over 10 years.
Yeah, that was beautiful. So we broadcast live from that dig. And when all those artifacts were found, we were reporting live. And it was phenomenal to me just to be there. It's the first I was literally... Well, I'd been at sites before where, smaller digs happen, but that was, a big deal for so many of us. So tell us about that Rio Nuevo village, the property you acquired. Go back to what called you, and then just to branch out on the work that you've done there over time.
All right. Well, I've actually had that property for around 23 years now. And what a journey, to see what it has evolved to be now. How would I say this? A lot of my inspiration in terms of what I've done now really derived from the history. it is now a licensed attraction, but it started from the pieces. We started out, we got our tourism license initially from being a museum. We have since expanded to other activities, as you visited recently. We do rafting. We do horseback riding.
Yeah. I've been on both, by the way, let me just say. I scream all the way on the horseback, what I say, girl.
Yes. And now recently added, we do four-wheel biking and a zip line.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and zip line is well on the way.
Excuse me?
It is, zip lining is well on the way. This is the latest edition, isn't it?
Yes. We just added that.
And all of this is done understanding the space and the ecology, if you will, and the environmental concerns are all taken into consideration. How important was it for you? Because tourism is all around us, and we see a kind of a plantation tourism that has taken over Jamaica. But you are doing a whole different kind of tourism.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive when it comes to environment. There's Rio Nova River runs through the property, and it had its good and its bad. When it rains, 10, 15 years back, the river would run through the property, and during that process, it took over acre of land. So I acquired a mining license mainly for that purpose, not just to mine, but to control the water, the flow of water when it rains.
And you've done a brilliant job with that over time.
Yeah, it requires a lot. It requires a lot of time, a lot of finance, but it was well worth it. Now it's where it should be, and so the other infrastructure could not have been added until that aspect of it was done. So now we're able to raft on the river, and get to use it for other activities,
And we just heard Dr. Leslie talking about the importance of the river to the indigenous people. And when you see that property, you understand, or just that entire Rio Nuevo area. It's such a pity what's happening in Rio, Roaring River, and the Rio Bueno watershed. But just that large river, because the Rio Nuevo is not really a small river, and as you said, it's something but a river that empties into the sea. I mean, all rivers empty into the sea, but you literally see where the river and the sea meet on the property. That's phenomenal. So that explains a lot of why the indigenous people would have gone there. The museum, there's also the museum, of course, on the property. That came first, didn't it?
Yeah, the museum what's unique about the museum is the different cultures that exist there. While you have the Spanish and the English, the Tainos, and what Dr. Leslie just shared with us.
The Maycoins.
The Maycoins, which was much, much earlier.
We're going to have to learn to pronounce it, David, me and you. The Maycoins.
Yes,
because this is much wider than I think we could ever imagine.
Yes, and that's why I definitely want her to, inviting her to a visit, because there's some things there that we need to have a discussion about.
David,
in terms of pieces.
Look at me. I'm getting goosebumps because I've been talking to you on the phone, and I'm saying I've read Leslie's book. I've had a discussion with her, and I've gone and done further research, and the pieces that I see you there in the museum, I'm saying to you, these are before the time. Haven't I been saying this to you, David? This is my thinking, that some, not all of them, but definitely some of them would have been, predating Taino. This is my thinking.
Yes. So as I speak today, I have a large group, about 70 plus persons. We get a lot of interest from mainly the Europeans, and I want to encourage those that are in school to come visit, come and learn more about your culture, because it's very important. We have more interest from persons.
And to the teachers who are listening.
Yes, and to the teachers that are listening.
The parents.
Yes.
Take your children.
Yes.
Teachers, take your groups there. Include this on your trips. It's phenomenal what's there in terms of our indigenous heritage, and it goes beyond the indigenous the heritage, because then later on, of course. And probably we don't know what we'll find along the way as more archaeology and archaeological work is done, in terms of just what period did the Africans enter, because Africans were trading up and down the coast, as Dr. Ben would say, long before Columbus. And so it would be very interesting to see when Africans actually entered. Let me take a quick break and come back.
Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Do it for your best side. The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is
now 3 minutes after 8 o'clock, and in studio with me, my brother and my friend, and we're talking about the earliest inhabitants and looking at the indigenous people, the first people that within the context of some of the sites here in Jamaica, some of the heritage sites. One, of course, is Rio Nuevo, and David Wilson is the managing director of Rio Nuevo Museum and Great House. He's the CEO of the Rio Nuevo Village. David, there's something else that you've done, right, in terms of how you view business and how you enter into these kinds of activities, because this on the one hand we're talking heritage and so on, but I know that you situate this within the ideology of Molamu Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and also within the context of what does emancipation really mean. Talk to us about that.
Wow. Well, I've always been very concerned about, especially our young people, and their perception of themselves, and so I have an attitude, even regarding business, of how to reach out, getting involved with their hiring and facilitating employment. It's tough at times, and I'm going to speak about our young people, because they're still searching. They're still trying to understand, this journey. In our island, unfortunately, I don't think there's a platform for or established platform for the lower people, just the regular guys. I always with even the rafting and the guys that do rafting, at times they seem to be like, the people at the bottom that don't really understand. And so, what you just said regarding Marcus, it's the mindset. It's the mindset. It's changing the mindset. It's understanding that you matter. You're what you bring to the table. You're someone, and that has to do with your thought process. Your value system. How do you see yourself? I have Jankunas that perform they'll be performing today. And I remember prior to even hiring them, telling them that it's what you have because they're just seeing themselves as dancing and begging. No, it's an art. What you have is an art. You know?
So you're saying that there has to be literally among our people a paradigm shift. And you
Yes.
say it begins in our thought.
Yes. Yes.
What do you, and so you're saying it's a challenge, it's difficult, just from your own personal experience, to get younger people, and you say young people generally, to have that paradigm shift. What should they be thinking of? What would you want to see as opposed to what we currently have, what we're currently experiencing?
Well, see yourself as being valuable. Start seeing yourself as being valuable. You know, the guys that raff, they see themselves as they see it as just raffing. They see it as a hustle. No, it has value to it. What you bring has value. You know, it has value to it. The guys that do the janko, no, it has value to it. It's a part of our culture. You know, you're doing it. Someone else might not do it, but they can't do what you're doing. So it has a value.
And I suppose this is across the board,
Yes, across the board.
among our people. I'm very well aware of it, to David, and I think it's a critical point you made. I know that you've also been looking at this within what is slavery and what is emancipation and what is full emancipation, and you know the extent to which if the thought, if we don't have that paradigm shift at the level of thought, then we would be enslaving ourselves. So I hear you saying, take responsibility for your own thinking.
Yeah, that's imperative. That's very imperative. Because everything that exists derives from our thought process. You know, and that's why it's challenging for us to understand certain people and what they do. And for them to even understand that they have value, because they don't see themselves as that. They don't see themselves as being valuable. And everything that you are your thought. As a man thinketh, so is he.
You know, this is profound, you know, because we've had many discussions about where we are as a nation, where we are as a people, and who we are becoming. And a lot of these conversations, we tend to look outside of ourselves, what the state should be doing, what the curriculum should be doing. And I think all of these are important. But you're saying further to that, there's also you, the person. So there has to be an understanding, David, another level of understanding of who you are as a person.
Yes, and it starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with you as an individual. It really does, you know. You have the ability to process, you have the ability to think, so it starts with you. It starts with you.
Yeah.
And I just want to, there are guys that work in this industry, this tourism industry, that feel that they're not important, but they are. You know, but it's how you see yourself. It's your perception.
I think this is resonating across Jamaica this morning. I can literally feel it. And I know we'll have more time to pick up on this when you get back, because I do know you have to go shortly, and I'm holding on to you for a minute. Can you stay at least until 8:30? Or you can't?
Okay.
I'm not checking time, you know. It's 11 minutes after 8 o'clock. Do you need to go down, David, or should I take a break and go back? All right, before you go, let us recap, because I know you're going to be back when you have more time next week. And hopefully you'll have more time next week. But So let's just look back, because this, I think, is fascinating, the history of the place. We didn't look much at this is also a contact area. So just for our listeners, we take it for granted that we all know what everyone else knows, which is the Renova battle site. This is the last place of the final war between Spain and England and so on. But give us the background to that, and also some information on that itself. That this is the very same place.
Regarding Renova?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I you know what? Sometimes we're given platform, like you're sitting on a platform, right? Your platform here. And a lot of times we don't really appreciate our platform, but it's the perception of the platform that's important. You know, that's the important part. And persons that occupy the platform prior to you. And so Renova was a place where of enslaved people, right? And so now I'm on that platform. I'm searching. So it's not just tourism to me. It's much bigger than that.
There's also the Great House that remains.
Yes.
The Renova Great House.
Yes.
And so if anything, in Jamaica, this is one of the most important spaces, isn't it? Everybody was here.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. Based on how you see it, yes, it's important.
Yeah. So while we're rafting on the river, which we love to do, and going horseback riding, because that is there too. Visit the museum, and I know that's included in all of that.
Yes.
That it's a beautiful venue for so many other things. As a matter of fact, I love It's Gone to Bed. I'm telling you the truth. And it is such an eclectic space. So there's all of this happening within all of this history. When you come back next week, we'll go into it some more. Today you have a group. You're saying that the people who come mainly are Europeans. That Jamaicans are not necessarily the.
Yes, we get in terms of the museum, right? It's mostly people from Europe. The other activities, though, we have persons, you have Jamaicans, and we have persons that live in the diaspora that visit.
Well, I know people are listening from all over the world, and this is a phenomenal space. So go for there's so many reasons to go. You can tap into so many different reasons to go. We are exploring our indigenous history, and we're looking at the archaeological sites across Jamaica, and Renova, of course, is one such. The Great House is at Renova Village. The museum is at Renova Village. The river overflowing into the sea is at Renova Village. And, you know, you're topping it off with the horseback riding and the rafting and so on and so forth.
And the rafting and the zip line.
And the zip line.
Four-wheel bikes.
Yes, and I just like to say that you took me all the way up there.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Your daughter is very brave. You have a very brave daughter.
Braver than me. But I did it, didn't I?
Yes.
So
very brave.
Yeah. So, but thank you so much, David. I know you have to go, so I'm not going to hang on to you. But any final words that you have until we see you next week?
Just my final words today is to, enjoy your space. Be all you can in your space. That's my word. That's my words of encouragement today. Be all you can be in your space.
Well said.
Your space you occupy.
Well said.
All right. How does that sound, Kabu?
It's brilliant, actually.
Right.
It's brilliant. I'm taking it on.
Yes.
Thank you so much, David, my brother, my friend. And congratulations, because what a beautiful work that you're doing at Renova. So that's David Wilson, the Managing Director of Renova Museum and Great House, CEO of the Renova Village. you have to go to the museum. You have to go check out those pieces. And now, remember what we heard. Maykites. This is just beyond phenomenal. And the pieces are there. They're in the museum. Right, David?
Yes, they are.
And if them did it. If them did it.
They are.
Yes.
And me and Dr. Leslie really need to have a conversation because I have some serious questions about some of the recent stuff that we've acquired. And she related to that today in terms of, so we're going to have a discussion. Yes. I also want to extend my gratitude to, I can't forget, persons in Heritage Trust, Miss Evelyn Thompson, Ordain,
yes,
and all the other persons that from early,
yes,
that has attributed to what Renova Village is today.
Professor Shepherd was there for the dig. She was the one who was the chairman and the chairperson at the time, and led that. So hi, Vereen.
Yes. But kudos to those people that we're talking about the property being an attraction now, full-fledged attraction. But it started with these people. It started with us doing the digs and, when it wasn't even an attraction.
Yes.
And I just want to thank those. And if I forgot anyone,
you'll thank them when you come back next week.
I thank you. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much about this island called Jamaica through these people. And it lends to such appreciation for history. Mm-hmm. And there's so much more to be discovered. So it's not just about running an attraction and making some money. It's about an experience.
And this is an example to so many others of how it can be done.
Yes.
How we can balance the thing.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
yes,
David, and I'll see you next week.
All right.
We'll talk between that.
Yes.
All right, David Wilson there. We'll talk some more about this because we're fascinated with all that we're hearing, all that we're unearthing. And go ahead. You can go ahead and go check out the museum before we reach. But go ahead. I know today's a busy day, so but go ahead. We'll take a quick break. In that period, when we are remembering the Battle of Adwa, and we are at the same time remembering and celebrating the life of Mama Fire. So to all those who lit the fire key, to those who are at the bingy that's going to seal up tomorrow, enough blessings from the space. And I know it's a few days of activities leading up to close to the end of March. And I will definitely be there in Haywood Hall when that time comes. I know that the Battle of Adwa is something we remember all the time. It's an event that we remember, and one of the memory keepers of that significant event on the island over the many years has always been Mama Fire. So at this time of year, when we celebrate that victory, the Battle of Adwa, fought between the Kingdom of Italy and the Ethiopian Empire, a war which was sparked by Italy's colonial ambitions, And in 1889, Italy and Ethiopia signed the Treaty of Wuchale, which Italy interpreted as a protectorate over Ethiopia. However, of course, Ethiopia saw it as a mere friendship treaty. So Italy got it wrong because they think wrong. They're always thinking wrong. This is how these colonizers think. The tensions escalated when Italy began to exert its so-called influence over Ethiopian territories. So there was Ethiopian victory, of course. The Battle of Adwa was a decisive victory for Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Empire, led by Emperor Menelik II, over the Italian colonial forces. We never forget that, and we won't forget that. The Italian army, led by General Oreste Baratieri suffered heavy casualties. It was estimated that there were some 3,000 to 7,000 killed or wounded. The Ethiopian army employed all kinds of military tactics, clever tactics, strategic tactics, including a feigned retreat to lure the Italian forces into a trap. It was in the Battle of Adwa that we saw the Ethiopian acquiring modern firearms, including rifles and artilleries, and of course these helped to neutralize the Italian advantage in firepower. The Battle of Adwa is significant. It was a turning point in African history because it marked the very first time an African nation defeated a European colonial power decisively. The victory also led to international recognition of Ethiopia's sovereignty, and it became a symbol of African resistance against colonialism. And this is why we celebrate the Battle of Adwa on the island. Lasting impact. It had that also in Ethiopian nationalism and identity, and it continues to be celebrated all over the world. So Emperor Menelik, Empress Taitu Betul, Ras Makonnen, Ras Alula, Engida, Fitawari Gebeyet Yehu, Empress Taitu, Queen Taitu, Waziri Yetaktu, and there are many others. We want always to identify and remember and celebrate the women who were strategic officers and leaders in this war against Italian audacity and arrogance. Lots of conversations about the unlawfully coup-facilitated leader of Ukraine. He was put in by a coup. The coup was facilitated by the United States. We can't have a conversation about Ukraine if we do not know who Victoria Nuland is. We can't have a conversation about Ukraine if we do not understand the genesis of all that's unfolding. We can't really have a conversation about Ukraine and Russia if we do not go all the way back to the fall of the Berlin Wall. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. We can't have a conversation about Ukraine and Russia and NATO and the United States if we do not go back to the fall of the Berlin Wall. Because outside of the ongoing, over the years, Cold Wars, this is where it all started, isn't it? The enlargement of NATO. NATO knows that and has led us to where we are today. But NATO didn't enlarge and encroach by itself. Obviously, NATO is made up of armies from NATO countries. The US, of course, is the giant. The European Union, all the European countries, or most of them at least, and so on and so forth. So if we do not know the name Victoria Nuland, then it's going to be difficult to have this conversation. John McCain, we need to go back to what John McCain said at the time just before the coup in Ukraine. Remember, Ukraine had a democratically elected government chosen by the people. But that government was overthrown. And that government was overthrown for a reason, to put in a puppet of the West. The puppet of the West that was put in was Zelensky. I do not necessarily want to have this conversation either because I do not care. Where I care is the extent to which we are missing the others, the all significant others. because we're so caught up on the 3-card game, the smoke and mirrors, the fact that they have said to us and they're saying to us, look here, and we are steadfastly looking where they're telling us to look. I can't function that way and don't want to be dragged into functioning that way. So really and truly, I watched the entire fracas in the House, in the Oval Office. I watched it from the beginning and saw when it was devolving and saw when it was allowed to be devolved. And then everything else that came out of that, we're seeing now what's happening in the UK. We're seeing the embrace of Europe. We're seeing the monarchy that is supposed to be apolitical, having a meeting, getting involved in politics. And all of this is, it's smoke and mirrors. What does it really matter? What are we missing? Let me tell you something that we're missing. While we're looking at them, full of sound and fury signifying nothing, Marco Rubio yesterday announced on the U.S. Department of State website, and let me read it. He says, I have signed a declaration to use emergency authorities, to expedite the delivery of approximately $4 billion with a B, $4 billion in military assistance to Israel. These are the people who say they are peacemakers and they want peace. Marco Rubio, go to the U.S. Department of State website. This is yesterday, his press statement. I have signed a declaration to use emergency authorities to expedite the delivery of approximately $4 billion in military assistance to Israel. The decision to reverse the Biden administration's partial arms embargo, which wrongly withheld a number of weapons and ammunition from Israel, is yet another sign that Israel has no greater ally in the White House than President Trump. And he continues, since taking office, the Trump administration has approved nearly $12 billion with a B in major FMS sales to Israel. This important decision coincides with President Trump's repeal of a Biden-era memorandum which had imposed baseless and politicized conditions on military assistance to Israel at a time when our close ally was fighting a war of survival on multiple fronts against Iran and terror proxies. Note that Russia is not mentioned. Iran and terror proxies. The Trump administration, he says, will continue to use all available tools to fulfill America's long-standing commitment to Israel's security, including means to counter security threats. So that's what we're missing. $12 billion in major military assistance to Israel. For what? And if you get the breakdown of that, if you go into the breakdown of that, how many bulldozers are included in that? A whole heap of bulldozers. And so if you break it down, the military-industrial complex comes to the fore. It is as clear as day. And it's the same military-industrial complex that is against the minerals deal between Ukraine and the United States, because of course the war must continue. So if you look, Dwight Eisenhower was the one who said, be very careful of the military-industrial complex. I'm misquoting, but that's basically the bottom line of what he said. The military-industrial complex is always a threat, and it's a military-industrial complex that is fueling wars across the world. What is happening is nothing new. What is happening really, it's a reset. It's a reset with different players. And so these different players have, different in some case, I don't want to say ideologies, but differences, a little difference here and a little difference here. And that's why we see what appears to be chaos. It's not chaos. It's strategic, organized chaos. It's all planned. It is doing what it is supposed to do. It's all going according to plan. We can continue to focus our attention on where they're telling us to look. And let me take a quick break.
Get more miles with the Ruby's Ultratech. Fuel the difference for peak performance and maximum savings. Drive more and save more. The time by Ruby's Ultratech is
now 8:48. You're inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running Africa. And I really don't want to have the conversation about Ukraine, but because I'm getting so many messages about what's my thinking on it, what's my thought. And I had asked earlier, what do you know? How do you know it? And who told you? If it's the same people who told you about COVID and the COVID vaccines, then why do you believe them? If you are getting riled up by something that's said by the same people who, gave you Operation Warp Speed, the COVID vaccines, the big pharmaceutical companies, the mRNA murder weapon, then how come? And this is what I asked during COVID, The question I asked during COVID is, how come? When did we begin? When did we start, revolutionary people, start listening to the oppressors, to the enslavers, to the white supremacists, to those who do not have our best interests at heart and never had our best interests at heart? When since we started believing them, that we are carrying ourselves willingly to the spaces they occupy, giving them our arm and say, put your poison in me? When did we get to that place that we believe them? And why we're behaving like a bunch of, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go down that line. I'm holding on to my sanity. What else did we miss? We missed Elon Musk's interview on Rogan. So Elon Musk did an interview with Joe Rogan. Go and find it. He said a lot of things about AI, artificial intelligence. This is where we are, Mars, going to Mars, etc. There's a lot said there, and whether you want to take it seriously or not, you have to remember that there's a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that Elon Musk has always been a psyop. He has always been a part of government. He didn't just become a part of government. He was a part of government when he was putting satellites all across the world, when he was saturating the entire globe with satellites, when he was making transhuman, when he was injecting all kinds of stuff in people and making people hybrid human beings and reporting on that and unfolding that. Do you think any government in the world would just allow somebody who has no connection to the deeper depth of the Bohemian Grove situation? I don't want to say deep state, but to the deeper depth of the globalist agenda, an agenda that is well on track. This technocracy and transhumanism is not a joke. They are rolling this out. This is what we're missing. The surveillance state. Elon Musk has set up a surveillance system. We revel in it. We talk about Starlink and what are the other things he has, and Neuralink and all these things. He's told us, though, that Starlink has a capability of zooming into every single telephone in the world and give you Wi-Fi, to give you the internet. Now, if it has that capability, it is a surveillance system. And this is also what we're missing, because one thing is sure is that this technocracy and transhumanism terror is on track, unfolding, whatever name you call it, it is unfolding. It was meant to be. The only thing that has changed is the players. But, Clinton handed it to, who did he hand it to? Was it Bush who handed it to who? Bush, Clinton, however it went. And then Obama and then Trump and who they come in between there, so, and then Trump again, Biden, and then Trump. It's all the same. It's all the same. Nothing has changed. All that has happened is that these people have differences here and there. There are surface differences. There's no outrage or reporting on the $4 billion that Marco Rubio just sent to Israel. There's no outrage. There's no outrage on the Lobito corridor. There's no outrage on the sanctions on Cuba. When Trump was in before Biden, and Trump laid out some, serious sanctions in Cuba, and everybody was saying, oh, when Biden comes in, he's going to get rid of those sanctions. He never did. He never did, because it suited them. And this is how it works. It's all the same. And I know that there are many of you who do not agree with me. I know that, and I am not looking for agreement. I am just saying this is how I am reading the situation. It is a globalist agenda. It is well underway. Nothing is going to stop it so easy, and especially because we do not even understand. Biden told us that we were at an inflection point, but this is an inflection point where that is defined by the rising influence of technocracy and transhumanism. So it's a change. It's an industrial revolution, if you will. It's a great reset. And this is why it is appearing the way it is appearing. So we're seeing how everything is interconnected. Everything is connected. We're seeing the increased reliance on the technologies. We see all of this coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. We see the acceleration and the adoption of the digital technologies. We see contact tracing apps, biometric surveillance, AI-powered healthcare systems. We're looking also at the growing influence of the tech giants. They're all on the same page now. They're all Rosemary babies. It is what it is. Nothing has changed. And this is why I keep saying, for us as African people, Jamaican people, we have an urgency. And that urgency is not to try and compete with them, because we're not going to go down that road of demonic, devilish, autocratic, and if you want, it don't matter what, capitalist and 2.0, neoliberalism tied up with technocracy, and people say those two things cannot correspond, but it's neoliberalism and neo-technocracy, if you will, into transhumanism. These people are globalists. They have an agenda. They're talking about dark enlightenment. They have already implemented about 40% of Project 2025. But have you read it? Have you read it? And the Democrats are not so much against Project 2025 as they're saying, because they lay the groundwork for everything that's happening. It is the bigger picture is what it is, which is we're moving into another time. This is a reset. It's a great reset. It has already happened. We are going to be dragged into it kicking and screaming. So our responsibility is to consider the simplest of things, which is, how do we remain alive? How do we feed our children? Where do we get shelter from? How do we access water? These are some of the simplest questions. Do we have enough food? This is where food security comes in. And we can talk about food safety. But because food safety is important because of what Bill Gates has gone out and done. He is one of those first persons who went to visit Donald Trump. And listen again to what he said. We played it here a few weeks ago. The plans he's got regarding food. They have redefined food. They have redefined vaccines. So what are we doing with the land that we have? Everybody who left them land, a country, gone into the urban areas. Go back home. Start planting yam. You realize a yam is scarce? You realize a yam If it not scarce, you can't even buy it. Yellow yam. Yellow yam is good for women. Yellow yam is good for menopause. Yellow yam good for cholesterol. Yellow yam just good for a whole heap of things. And yellow yam is a proper food. Now, yam is short. People stop. The older people have died out, and hardly any young people are plant yam. Right? And we need to plant yam and corn and plantain and banana, things that we put under the earth, cassava, and all of those things. And then we must protect our water sources. Our fresh water sources must be protected. Our oceans must be protected. We must have access to the sea. We must have access to the land. This is just at this simple level. Land, which will give us food and shelter, and the air we breathe, and water. It sounds simple, but it's not so simple when you think about what these people are doing. So I just want to kind of cap it off by saying I am not too concerned about the sound and fury coming from the players on the stage, which was the Oval Office the other day. I'm more concerned about the advances we're seeing in biotechnology and AI. If you listen to Trump, there's something that Trump said. You see that whole fracas that took place in the Oval Office? Did you hear when Trump said, we are going to, the deal we're going to sign is a mineral deal, and we need the mineral, the rare earth minerals, because we don't have enough. We need this for, he said two things. I can't remember the first one, but the second one was definitely AI. Did you think he just said that out of the blue? No. He's talking about the need to sign this document, this agreement with Ukraine is for rare earth minerals for artificial intelligence. This is where we're going. We're not afraid of artificial intelligence, but we know what they're going to do with it. And because of what they have planned, it means that we have to protect ourselves. And we can't be so engrossed and immersed in their little quarrels that we are not spending time thinking about how to preserve and protect our own piece of land, our water, and so on and so forth. Our concern should be more with what they're not telling us. These people are transhumanists. They're talking about life extension or no death at all. We see the newer technologies and the brain-machine interfaces. This is what they're doing. What is the end result of that? What are the implications of a technocratic elite shaping the global agenda? Because that is what is happening. How will the convergence of artificial intelligence, biotechnology, neuroscience, how will that convergence impact human identity and agency? Do not take the simple, this is where these people are going. It was always about transhumanism. I've been saying that from 2020 when they locked down the country for 2 years, that this was about transhumanism. What are the potential risks of these emerging technologies for us as a people? We're not thinking more than 2 years down the line. Elon Musk is talking about Vision 2030. The Vision 2030 was never our vision. I've been saying that from 19 or when. All right, let me take your calls. Hota? Hello?
Okay.
Yes, greetings.
Greetings, Sister Kabu.
Yes. What's on your mind?
Lot of things.
Mm-hmm. You're there?
Yeah, I'm here. Just, Just thinking, because we always have to think and we all have to look into things.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much things.
Mm-hmm.
So much things to touch on and so much things.
All right,
to,
one at a time. Take the first one first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as you were talking about the situation with Trump and Musk and the whole games them have been, can you notice them never elect Hillary Clinton at the time when she there running Donald Trump?
Mm-hmm.
No, because Hillary Clinton couldn't play them game. She couldn't play the game.
Why do you say that?
Because the game where Hillary Clinton couldn't play, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't take certain, she couldn't do certain things like what Donald Trump do and talk certain things that behave certain way like what Donald Trump talk.
So who got out? So who got out Gaddafi? Who got out Gaddafi? Who bombed? Who got out? Who destroyed Syria?
It was under the administration of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton at the time. I think she was and even Biden and
So why you say she couldn't do it?
No, because the thing is no, that is not the game them want her to play.
What is a game that What's a game?
The game where them want her to play, you know. It's just like the game where Donald Trump play here right now. You know this how him have make Elon Musk come in at the Oval Office without even a proper suit and in a basketball hat. Eh?
You know what? Let me say something to you, because a lot is being said about Elon Musk not being elected and all of that. But the Democrats did the same thing. They had a lot of people around them who weren't elected, George Soros not elected. A lot of these people, Bill Gates not elected. And I don't have the names on the top of my finger, you know. But I mean, they did the very same thing. It's just that we're hearing a whole different. The problem with us in Jamaica, I think, and I'm saying it generally, not just for you, is that we are exposed to a lot of the media that is Democrat controlled. In other words, the liberal media. So this media is controlled by the Democrats. So if we're gonna get our news from those news outlets, sources, then obviously we're going to be skewed. There will be no balance, and if we get it alone from the Republican-controlled media, it will be the very same thing. So that's why we have to go back. It's what David Wilson said this morning, that we have to go back to within ourselves. It is what we think and how we think and the principles that we have, and then determine how to judge things or to understand things that we're hearing. But Hillary Clinton might be a more devious person than Donald Trump, if you ask me.
Yeah, I just said that, 6 and 1 half dozen is the same. We know that none of them is the same. Because we know, you understand who them is already. We know who them is, and we know them agenda.
Yes,
and we know them track record.
It's a reptilian agenda. And they're carrying it out.
And that's why I say no. That's why I'm glad that you come with that repeal. We don't want to we have to make sure that we don't make them comfortable when them come around. We make them uncomfortable by reminding them about reparation and at the Atlantic slave trade and the 400 of enslavement. You understand? And Berlin Conference.
And at the same time, we are more concerned about our own self.
Yes.
Because
our people first.
In terms of how we're going to survive this that they're unleashing on us. Because this has been happening for years now. This not just start. This is right. So, all right. But anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah. All right. Look at it now. You see, I mentioned about Marco Rubio. I send these billions amounts of ammunition go down to Israel. And nobody lash out against it. You understand? Yeah? And you see when African people, when anybody help African people, them talk against it, and them talk this and them talk that. Like nobody enough help African people, or African people must help themselves or stand up for themselves. See them help them own. And when them help them own, to do the more murder and slaughter rates on the Palestinian people.
Well, I think we have, right, so let them do themselves. I mean, them say you do you, and we do we. Right.
Definitely.
This is how I see it. But thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yes.
All right,
I'm
give
more,
thanks.
you know, few hygiene across the board, you know.
Quick.
And tell me something. What you hear about? You don't know nothing about the show we were on last night.
We sure.
With the maroon place, eh?
No, we sure is that.
This is like them and Anthony B and Highway and the first March yesterday.
I didn't know about it. No, I didn't know about it.
Okay. Yeah, some more, you know, my mother, Miss Eggy, she live in a 2 mile there. Big her up, and because she working so long over these years for the system and all, she never stand up strong soon to get no pension.
But you have to quick, you know, because listen now, we have a lot of callers.
I never look at Virgin Jamaica in the West. Rasta Virgin, usually tried long time with Muta and Profile and the whole of them Virgin.
Yes.
And I have a Virgin Genius and I look at Virgin Gabriel and stuff there. So,
give
yeah, man, but I see, you probably you know remember my voice, man.
Remember your voice, man, but say your name so that them know what great them.
I Janai, man.
Give thanks. Give thanks, my brother.
Do I praise up for me? Do I praise up?
We'll do it.
Calling you so you get some ripe banana, but me never get big chosen.
So you're in the island? You're in the island or you're overseas?
No, maybe they're overseas.
You're overseas?
You're in the place.
Oh, you're in that place. All right, okay. Thank you so much, my brother.
I farm in the street, you know, Adri, because me see what lies ahead, you know. I know Bill Gates buy out the whole of the farming.
Brilliant. But let me give some people some chance because we're going 12 hours.
Yeah. Long live Africa, long live the black man and woman.
Give thanks, my brother.
Long live Africa.
All right, we're taking your telephone calls, and I really want to get in as many calls as possible, and I promise you that I won't keep the lines so long. But I know there were callers holding. Go ahead and send the calls in. I'll take them as they come. 876-618-0352, 974-5051, 5079, and 5043. So 876-618-0352.
Pedestrians, stay alert. Keep your head up and stay off the phone while crossing the road. Don't be a distracted walker. Every step matters. Look out before you step out. A message from the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
You ever get born yet? The bun was sweet you so much you can't resist. Me not talk about heartbreak. Me not talk about the bun with full of spice, raisin, and the perfect glaze. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. This is the bun where everybody need this Easter. If you don't get bun, you not live life right. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. Get the best type of bun from the right people. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. The bun you have to get with love in every bite. Available in select supermarkets.
All right, let me go back to the phone lines. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, greetings.
Yeah, greetings. Yeah, Raspal here.
Greetings, my brother.
Yeah, the previous caller, it's just like down here now. For instance, if you notice the government are down here, licking made with leeching and say 5 and 4 and them thing there. So it's just a trend where a man not elected. A man just want to have some money where him support a party there, support the next party, or which party him support.
Well, so and good point, because if you look at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation in Jamaica, you'll find that a lot it's stacked with people called, I think, ambassadors, or they have all kinds of titles, but none of these people are elected. And this has been going on for a very, very good while now. And Jamaican people don't cuss over it like them cussing Elon Musk, you know.
Yeah, and they might get to Elon Musk and rest.
Yeah.
That is a thing where Jamaica can't even, not even a tip a change, Jamaica can't. US foreign policy, Jamaica can't do nothing about that.
I think
you understand?
I agree with you.
So Jamaican to deal with what happening at Jamaica right now.
Yes.
Just like how you see the big man them a get the land, the farmland them to build house pan and sell foreigner.
Yes.
See, because that I go and knock about.
I have noticed.
Land.
Yes, the farmlands.
The farmland them. See, which is the cane where we used to plant sugar cane and plant.
Or even banana and coconut.
Bananas and them things they plant. As some holiday get it now, you know.
Yes.
See, I remember one at a time seeing it did mention the leaching get 3.
But hang on there, because I am at a commercial station and I cannot take anything about anyone that I can't prove, because we are in a very litigious society.
Yeah, I know.
So loud
the mention
the people them name. Yes.
Yes. Them name. See,
yes.
but as me tell you, say, is a thing where when them get the land, them say them a go the farm and then them a build house. Then them change say them a go build house. You understand? And Jamaica now can't feed itself.
And that is supposed to be a crime against the people of Jamaica. If you get land if you acquire land to farm and you change to build a house, that the two things are so far from each other that it should be a criminal act. So this is and I'm not saying I know who do anything like that. I'm just saying this has to be a criminal act. But this is the way our society runs, and it is what it is. The extent to which we are willing as a people to stand up against these kinds of injustices.
It's just like the beach land, them, you know, the where them say them a build beach house and hotel and all them thing there. See where we're supposed to can go beach freely, you know. And you notice say the whole of the land them, the whole of the beach them, you understand? Take over.
Yeah,
and we can't go have no beach to go. And you know, Jamaica, it can't continue, you know, like this, you know. We have to get serious, you know, and you see this constitutional thing where I go on, you know, at the time now, you know, where we the people for really step out and make them know the law we want to legislate in the constitution, you know. You understand?
We have to be careful that we don't become tribalist, because everything is being tribalized in Jamaica. It is
yeah, because of that I want to know. If you notice, after 1980, a comeback, you know.
Yeah.
You know, where people no want stand losers, you know. You remember the last election, the last local government election I run.
Yes.
The one that side they are saying win, and the next side after them win. You know,
yes.
So we don't want people them tribalize the people again and get the people them on that level the way neighbors are fight against neighbors. To one as a PMP and one as a GLP.
Yes.
You know, we don't want back that's why I make sure one them in a Kabu.
Yes.
One the politician them, you know, we don't want back them thing they in a Jamaica.
And they have to, and you know what, my brother, they have to stop it now, because it is, we see it, you know, we see it coming, we know it's coming. Listen to them talk. They are riling up the people along party lines, and it's a Pavlov dog kind of dog whistle situation where people are taking sides not because they're thinking things through. The Portmore situation is one thing where it is so vitriolic that you can't see red, you can't see orange for green. And then we look at the SSL situation, that is also vitriolic, and we can go down the line and just name there has to be a point where those who are in leadership position stop themselves for the better and for the good of a nation.
I'm going to say this to my people of Jamaica and in the diaspora. Look here. Most politicians just going on themselves. The people want to live with and want to grow with in our community. We know them before most politicians, you know. Because the politicians them bring people come in our district or to represent, you know. So we must always look and say, wait. Then when them people make we in affliction and God knows are gone. Or we deal with it.
Very good question. I have to leave it there only because I really do have to go take the break. I'm over time with that. But very well posed, my brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Blessed, Kabu. Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. I'm here. You know, there's so many messages coming in from all over, and I do try to respond to the messages in the break and so on. So, all right. So my apologies. 23 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let me go back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning, Kabu.
Hey, greetings.
Good morning. How are you?
Boy, I'm there laughing. Oh God, the thing just catch me.
Calling from Long Bay in Portland.
You're calling from Long Bay. How are things in Long Bay?
Well, the condition of the road, I Chinese them here call from right now, because them dig up right at bus stand there, so, and they got water place and then dig up. And the amount of dust where they on the road, Miss Kabu. They have suffered on the road with the dust, man. And when you are driving at the vehicle are jerk up.
Yeah, so, but that's been going on for a while, though. When them said... Go ahead, go ahead.
I call for Miss Vaz to send out the truck or wait up the road, man.
Yes. Yeah, because I saw them doing that the last time. I know it's really inconvenient. The work seemed to be going a bit slow. But I know that this is what they normally do, kind of, have the water truck coming through and wet the roads. So, Action Ann, Long Bay, Portland, asking you to send whoever it is. But no, the parish council are the road people. Who's supposed to send the truck? Is it who
parish council can send it out. And Miss Vaz can send it out too.
All right, so you're going to the...
Right at bus stand there, so. Right at bus stand there, so to Walpen.
Yes,
then dig up this area here, so. They got water place and then dig up and then stop work.
All right, so I just a sudden reach because a long time. All right, so I'm sure they're hearing you. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have no respiratory problems from that, because I see how bad it was the last time I was out there.
Yes, anything again, Miss Kabu. It's my if you're sick and go to the hospital. Tiny region dead. Got the road rocky. Right at a bus stand there, so. Boston corner.
Yeah, Boston. This is all across Jamaica. It is what we put up with it, boy, I may tell you, we've been putting up with this. This is structural violence. This is violence against the people by the state. This is a serious kind of violence, and I'm talking about this especially because my brother, you talk about if you have to go hospital, if you're sick enough to go hospital before you reach, you're dead. And this is basically what it is.
I want to see people in vehicle, Miss Kabu. Dirty dust all over and people in vehicle.
Hi, my brother.
Dust all over. When I look at the people in vehicle, I think a white vehicle. Dust all over.
I don't know what to say.
People are sneeze, people are cough. That's not good for people, man. That's not good for people.
No, it's not. And I'm sure that they're hearing you. So the least you can do right now, Action Ann, is to send a truck for Sprinkle Road. My brother, thanks for calling.
Yeah, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah, man.
All right. I know it is a cry across Jamaica. I know that there are some plans in place to fix roads across Jamaica. And I know that, I cannot go through and see that some of that is happening. But one thing we notice is that a lot of roads are being fixed without proper drainage. So the next rain, and then I hope something is in place now to ensure, say, the money not just go to the contractor, them do the least that them can do, pack it up with mall, put the green, barber green or whatever upon the top, and the next rain, it's a big problem. So that is our thing. It's such a pity that there's so much corruption in Jamaica. The amount of time roads and bridges and so on fixing in Jamaica. What if there was no corruption? Let me go to the phone lines. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Sister Angela.
Yes, greetings. How are you doing? It's Kabu.
Kabu. I used to the Angela from day one.
I know. You have two more chance to get it wrong, and then the third one you have to call me by my name.
All right. When it comes to you and Muta.
Yes.
Sister Clara J. You have to be good enough to carry Jamaica roots and culture this far. Everybody do the part, but you want to carry it wider.
Thank you, my brother, on behalf of all of them. Yes.
Yes, when it comes to the Africanness.
Yes.
Yeah, Muta then, Amber then, Grover J.
Thank you so much, my brother.
You have to be good enough for that. So from the year start, I first may I get to say hi. So keep up the good work you're doing and all the best to you.
And to you too.
But I'm listening every Sunday. Rowan Johnson. So you're not
Rowan Johnson.
From Atlas. So you know, ever listen.
Yes. Give thanks, my brother.
So just continue to keep up the good work.
Much appreciated. And to you too. All the best for the rest of the year.
All right. All the best,
Thing.
I'm just saying, a lot of time we here in Jamaica is blaming the politician. It's full time we blame ourselves because we know that they're not doing better and we're still voting in them back.
So you're saying that we're complicit. We have to take some of the blame.
Yeah, we have to take some of the blame.
Yes.
But there's no way you have somebody who's doing wrong and you know, and then you go keep on putting him back in power. So that person is not going to take us for a fool and say, sure, these people don't want nothing in life.
I agree. What's the alternative?
Huh?
What should we do?
it's full time we stand up and said, no, we have to get rid of this person because we can't take favoritism. Because I'm going to say, no, I support the for years I've been supporting the Jamaica Labour Party.
Mm-hmm.
And in my year, I realized that our MPs are doing nothing good for us.
Who is the MP?
Not the MP. Not the MP, sorry. Like when you call the local government election.
The councillor?
Yeah, the councillor.
But the councillor don't have no power.
Well, I understand that they don't have any
You
power.
do know that they have given the councillors basket for care water, though?
Yeah, that's true. But I
notice you don't want to tell me who is your MP because you...
No, it is in center, but I don't really know the MP.
Okay.
I don't know the MP so good.
Well, maybe that explains it. You don't even know who the MP is?
Yeah, I don't really blame them, because I said...
You blame yourself?
I have to blame ourselves because I hear people cursing. Like I said, I don't enough time cursing. I said the MP is not doing nothing.
Yes.
So I said, well, I don't know him. I can't curse him. I would have sit and have a reason with them.
So who paying him?
A lot of people now in the community saying the MP is not good.
But who paying the MP? Who pay the MP?
Well,
and not only that, they just get themselves a lot of raise the other day. So they get themselves salary increase.
Yeah, I get it. They get themselves salary increase.
Then all them for go on with so much money and then tell we say it'll go be better, and then all of a sudden you don't even know who is the MP. See the MP and the situation remains the same, if not worse.
That's true.
So them give you a 6 for 9.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're voting in the next election?
I don't sure no. I don't sure if I'm gonna be voting.
Like we need a third party.
Yeah. Well, we just need somebody who willing to do something better.
Yeah, and I'm really serious now. We're taking teeth, keep a heartburn like Miss Lucy. So I understand the point you're making, and this is the cry across the nation. But the point you also made is that the people continue to vote and expecting a different result, and we know what the scientists say that is madness.
Yeah, that's madness.
Yeah. My brother, I do have to go. I hope that you have a solution. Remember, say if you at least register so you can vote in the get rid of the king as head of state.
Oh, okay.
So make sure say you go and sign up for vote.
Yes, I'll do that.
All right. Sign up. All right. Thanks for calling. All the best. Sorry, I can't help you, but the two winner the same way.
No.
Me cannot help you. The two winner the same barrel winner, same thing. All right, thank you so much. Hello, good morning.
Hi, Kabu, morning.
Hey, greetings.
Yes, it's my first time on your program.
Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm well.
Yes.
But I'm just trying to find out if it's possible for you to invite 3 persons on your program.
Mm-hmm.
First, T.L.O. Lumumba.
I've invited him many times, and I've interviewed him 3 times.
Yes.
And I've also invited him to Jamaica, but we couldn't pay his fee. His fee is exorbitant, and that's the only reason why we couldn't take him. But I've interviewed him 3 times. So what do you want me to talk to him about?
No, hold on, just a minute. The second person is the great Julius Malema. The third is Ibrahim Traore from Burkina Faso.
All right. So with Julius Malema, I have written to him, and I have asked people in South Africa to get his number for me, which they have, and I have called him many times, and I've written to him many times. And there's somebody now who is actually trying to help me with a better contact. And so that is underway. I really want to talk to Julius Malema.
Yes.
And then Ibrahim Traore, anybody can get him for me ready.
Hey, let me tell you something, Kabu. You see, the Andrew that's owning this administration, Ibrahim Traore need to tell them guys here how politics work. It's a guy I've been watching and I love his energy.
Yes.
And I am telling you, he is the only president I am voting for in the next election.
Okay, then. I hear you loud and clear.
Real.
I hope you register for vote because we're going to vote. Forget rid of the go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I asked to say, you're the only president you can vote for, but you can't vote?
Yes, man, we have to vote for him, man, because we need somebody like that, man, in Jamaica, man.
No, seriously. The thinking. There's the other part of it, which it's a military coup, it's a military junta, and then we have to ask ourselves if we are in the frame of mind for military rule.
No, we don't need a military coup in Jamaica. What we need the ideas.
No, I didn't say coup, I meant military rule as opposed to coup. Coming on, nobody goes to me a call for coup.
No. But we just need someone with such an idea.
Yes.
Let them sit and listen. Jamaica can self-sustain itself.
Yeah.
We have a lot of resources here.
So what about you? Why can't throw your hat in the ring?
No, Kabu. Let me tell you something now. You see, once you're an honest person, it's going to be a uphill battle for you.
Okay.
It's a climbing hill for you.
Yes.
So, a person like me with my ideas, I don't think I will go very far. You understand? You have to lie and have some criminal mind like them. Yes. Once you have those type of mindset like them, you will prosper. But once you're, straightforward.
What an indictment?
No, this is true. Because right now, if I should throw my hat in the ring and come too good and too straight, I can't survive it. There's no way I could survive it.
Yeah, because, it's such a pity because we have seen some people go in who, before they went in, we had high hopes. And they themselves had high hopes for themselves. And, give them a year into it and they become somebody else, and you have to wonder what kind of demon exists at the level of party politics.
Maybe them have something in the air condition that change the people in mind. I don't know.
Well.
Or something in them big iron vehicle want to stick in one of those things.
Enough people, enough human farmer walk around, but no human in the farm,
It's not a joke. It's not a joke. All right, Kabu. The next thing I want to talk about is this vaccine that they're giving some of the kids nowadays. Mm-hmm. I have never seen so many kids with these type of abbreviation behind the name. HDD, you name it. I am speaking of experience now because I have a son who is 3 years old. Mm-hmm. And my son was doing quite fine before he took this 18-month vaccination. And a friend of mine told me, don't give your baby the vaccine, man.
Yes.
And once Mr. Kabu from the day he took the vaccine, he just regrets back.
It's a very serious... How is he now?
Yeah, well, I'm doing some speech therapies and behavioral therapies and all of that. No, but I'm telling you, before he took the vaccine, my son could do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And even the person who told me not to let the baby take the vaccine, her nephew would say 2 times and a lot of things.
My brother, it is serious. The pharmaceutical companies have bought the ministries of health around the world. They have bought the private sector, and they have bought a lot of medical doctors too, and they have bought academia. They sponsor the research and so on. And they are deep within the murder because it's really medical apartheid. There's a book called Medical Apartheid, and there's another one called Crazy Like Us, the Americanization of the global psyche. And these two books, speak specifically to the mafia, which is the pharmaceutical companies. With RFK in the United States, I don't know if it's going to be another situation where what we just talked about a while ago, that you go in with high hopes and you come out being one of them. But I know I hear him, he's been talking about this for a very long time. I've had many conversations with him by text over the years, and especially during the COVID period. So I know exactly, well, I can't say I know, but from what we seem saying over the years, he seems to be going up against the pharmaceutical companies on this matter. But notice what's happening in America now. They are manufacturing a measles outbreak. Now, and if you check it, it's not much different from in the same way they manufacture the COVID.
Yes, I know.
So, and they're doing this deliberately. This is a pharmacy. This is a big pharma with those that them pocket. It's phenomenal what is about to unfold on us. There, but just to say, obviously now that the vaccines can hurt your child.
It's been hurting a lot, because right now I can tell you, even when I took my son to the speech therapy, I have seen so many kids, and it's alarming to see how many kids nowadays.
I'm so sorry to hear.
Yes, these kids, and most of the stories are similar to mine. My son or my daughter was quite fine until he took the 18-month vaccine and don't know himself, stop talking, stop this, stop that.
Yes.
But who can we call on? Because I spoke to one particular person, and they were telling me, you have to get an independent doctor. Kabu, let me tell you something. Which independent doctor is going to stand up now and say, boy, listen, yeah, man, it's the vaccine. It's the one drunk for same wing.
It's going to have to be I see. You remember what happened in Nigeria and some other countries. I've done so much work in this space on vaccines and carried all of the class action suits and the suing and some that have with them have to apologize, but it's years after and so on. It's a hard battle to fight.
I know.
So I don't know what to tell you apart from, well, you have information now. You'd have done a lot of research, I'm sure, and can probably know how to move from here. But the bottom line is that the pharmaceutical companies have the ministries, all of the ministries of health around the world, globally, locked in place, so that if them come with a vaccine and decide that they're going to this vaccine that is called sorry, my phone is, I'm sorry, I didn't put it on mute. But this vaccine that's called Depo-Provera, which is not really a vaccine, but what do you call it? Birth control. But it's an injection, Depo-Provera. Remember, it was our mothers, not our grandmother, it was our mothers who they experimented on with Depo-Provera, because our Ministry of Health deliberately held from the people of Jamaica, the women of Jamaica, that they were being used as test subjects, as guinea pigs for this birth control Depo-Provera. And it was Jamaican women who they tried this on. So what a baby dead in childbirth or dead before it come out or born deformed or whatever, it was our mothers that they tried this on, and the government of Jamaica kept that from the women of Jamaica. It is just a few years ago that vaccine was given the go-ahead in Canada, just a few years ago, and our mothers have been using it for years and years and years and years. And nobody up to this point has taken responsibility for the fact that pharmaceutical companies use Jamaican women as guinea pigs for Depo-Provera. This is how bad the situation is, my brother. I don't know what else to tell you.
My final question to you. Is it a must we have to take this vaccine or give our kids this vaccine?
But how are you going to get the child to school? It's not a must, But the way they have done it is that they tie it into return to school. So this means that you now find yourself with your back against a wall. And if you don't do it, then them send your child from out of school. This is how serious it is. I expect to see some change coming from the led from the United States. I don't know. Maybe that is a pipe dream.
So why we have to wait on the United States to make our change? Why? Why is that?
Because it is determined. A lot of these vaccines come through the United States, and it is part of the U.S. dead aid. And anytime anywhere you say USA, just know that it is not good for us. So all of these vaccines come on U.S. aid. Aid comes with a bomb. This is basically it. I don't know what to tell my brother, but we've been fighting it for a long time. There are some doctors who I've had in this space who have come right out and said they will never give it to a child, and have given their numbers out to say call me, and we have alternatives.
Boy, even the COVID vaccine, you know, it puts one of my brothers in, let me say, 2% away from the wheelchair right now.
My brother, I'm so sorry.
I don't even want to think about it.
I'm so sorry. My brother, I'm so sorry. You know, the COVID mRNA gene therapy is not a vaccine. We fool ourselves if we keep calling it vaccine. It's gene therapy. And it is meant to do exactly what you just described. And cardiac arrest and stroke. If you look around you, how many young people you see having strokes? More than you normally see. How many people dying from heart attacks? More than you normally see.
Kabu, I know about 4 persons, include 2 family members who took the vaccine, and weeks after, they are in the cemetery.
My brother, I could leave it this. I'm so sorry to leave it on such a low note, but I do have to go. I'm so sorry.
Enough respect and thanks again for taking my call.
And to you too. You know, there's something that happened in Jamaica in 2019, 2020, 21, 2022 during the lockdown, the COVID, and how they criminalize those of us who said we weren't going to take the vaccine. But even beyond that, they came out, academia specifically, and I'm talking about the so-called scientists, and politicians, and private sector, and the media. They ganged up against those of us who were deep thinkers and critical thinkers and said, this is not a vaccine, this is a gene therapy. Not only that, there are multiple problems with it because we're doing our research. Now, Pfizer has dumped all of its documents because the court mandated Pfizer to release the documents about the testing of the COVID-19 vaccine. Everything is in the documents. I never hear the Ministry of Health mention it. I never hear PAHO mention those documents. I never hear nobody from the University of the West Indies. I never hear no government, no politician. Nobody has read the documents. I want to ask you, all those Zoom meetings, and I attended all of them, between PAHO, Ministry of Health, UTEC, all those representatives who were on our TV screens every night, on our radio stations every day, all those media people who were cussing the rest of us. I had colleagues who called for my death because I was saying the vaccine is not safe. I had colleagues who ambushed me. This is serious. Now, the masses of Jamaican people trusted the usual sources, credible sources. So when we saw some of the people who are usually credible sources, especially those who came out representing PAHO, who we know these are credible sources, they came out and then they began to tell the people how safe it was. We had politicians pretending to take the vaccine. I don't think enough of them take it. And there was just so much pomp and pageantry and so much fear that was driven into. We had people spitting at people. We had people pushing people out of taxis. We had people pushing people out of buses. We had people calling the authorities on their own family members. We locked our elders in their homes by themselves. And when we go look for my mother, we have to look at her through the grill, and she was, you know, she's an elder, and my father had Alzheimer's, so she was alone. A point I'm making, when we buried my father, it was just me and my mother and my sisters, 3 of my sister or 4 of my sister them, in the cemetery, bury my father who's a Pentecostal minister. All I'm life from my barn, me don't know my father as nothing else but a Pentecostal Christian minister. And my father dead and couldn't be churched. And members say me a talk. And when me realized that me couldn't church my father, and me see them put the casket on top of the grave, and thank God for the minister who came to the graveside and did what he could do at the graveside. I bawl like a baby. Now, somebody have to pay. Somebody has to pay. They need to give us an apology for what they did. You see what's happening in America now? You see what's happened? You see what's happening in America now with COVID, the COVID lockdown and the COVID vaccine and all of that? Jamaica, the Ministry of Health, the Prime Minister, PAHO, the University of the West Indies, UTEC, academia, the private sector, you need to... Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? You all came out in droves to tell us how wicked and terrible the pandemic of the unvaccinated. But for ancestral protection, I would have been killed speaking truth to power in this space. Somebody have to pay. Are you going to tell you why somebody have to pay? It's not so much even for me. It is a fact that we buried my father without him going into a church. Understand what I'm saying? My father was a Christian. And whether I believe in or what my father believe in, but my father was a Christian. And my father was a minister. All right. So I take it personal. Not only that, I'm looking now around me and I'm seeing that so many people who have been vaccinated are just dropping. And I don't want to create any panic. People are getting stroke. People are dying. People are turning up with all kinds of illnesses. And I'm not saying that we all can't die and turn up with illnesses. But somebody has to do the research. Where's the research coming out of the University of the West Indies to show the University of the West Indies owes us an answer, because a research needs to be done now to follow the vaccinated, to see how many people were vaccinated, over what period of time, how are they doing now? Where is that research? University of the West Indies. Where is that research, PAHO? Where is that research, Ministry of Health? And this is why I asked a question earlier. The same people who told us about the vaccines, COVID-19, and locked we down for 2 years, we are going to believe them on anything else now? How come we're believing them on so much now? How come we're agreeing with them about Russia and Ukraine? How come we depend on the same side with them depend with anything at all? We not depend with them depend. 3 minutes to 10 o'clock. We're going to stand up for ourselves. We're going to think for ourselves because we can think. And we do not need their brainwashed education, miseducation to think. They want us to believe if we never go through them doors that we can't think for ourselves. But we were born thinkers. And one thing we can do is think for ourselves. So this is how I'm leaving you. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to help us. We're going to have to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, do what it is that we need to do to survive. We're either going to survive or we're going to die. And it's going to be murder. Because we're not choosing to die. They're killing us. But at some point, we must take a stand, even if we're sitting down. Which is how I say goodbye for today. I'm making way now for Talia, who's coming in for the big A. I'll see you next week, inshallah, all being well. It's Ramadan, by the way. Ramadan Mubarak. War good. Thank you so much to the team. Where did I put my file?